So now we're going to talk about the male reproductive system. The perineum is the location between the urethra and the anus. The penis is the reproductive organ that serves as means of transporting sperm into the vagina, as well as the lower end of the urinary tract. The scrotum is a sac that contains the testicles. So the scrotum is a skin-covered pouch suspended from the perineal region. It's divided into two sacs that are separated by a septum. Each sac contains a testis, epididymis, and the lower part of a spermatic cord. The penis, so the structure, it's composed of three cylindrical masses of erectile tissue, one of which contains the urethra. The functions of the penis is to insert semen into the vagina and to play a role in the urinary system. Here you can see the corpora cavernosa, and that's erectile tissue. The corpus spongiosum surrounds the urethra, and then the prepuce is the foreskin. The paired testes are the male gonads, which produce sex hormones and sperm cells. The testes are located in the scrotum. Interstitial or Leydig cells produce testosterone. And then the seminiferous tubules are coiled up inside of the testicles, and that's the site for sperm production. Here you can see the cells on the outside of the seminiferous tubule. As they continue their cycle of meiosis, they're going to migrate toward the center, and eventually they're going to gain a flagellum, and then they're going to be released in the center of the seminiferous tubule. From here, they're going to pool in the epididymis. So within each testis are tightly coiled seminiferous tubules. Sperm production occurs in the walls of these tubules. So here you can see the cells are going through meiosis. Eventually, as they work their way toward the lumen of the seminiferous tubules, they're going to gain flagellum. The epididymis. So the epididymis lies on the posterior surface of the testicle. There's an epididymis attached to each testis. It stores sperm for 1 to 3 weeks. It's a duct for seminal fluid, and it secretes part of the seminal fluid. Sperm become capable of motility while they are passing through the epididymis. And here's a cross section, and you can see the sperm cells in the center. From the epididymis, sperm is going to be transported up the vas deferens. The function of the vas deferens is to transport sperm from the testis to the ejaculatory duct. Excuse me. If you've ever heard of a vasectomy, they go behind the scrotum and they make a tiny little cut right here behind the scrotum, and they're going to cut the vas deferens. This prevents sperm cells from going from the testicle up into the ejaculatory duct to be released in the penis. So that will essentially prevent fertilization. After a vasectomy, it takes some time to heal. It is possible for this tube to grow back together, so that's something to be cautious of. But the man will still ejaculate out some fluid because there's fluid that's produced in the prostate and in the seminal vesicle. The seminal vesicle is located here, and its function is to secrete the viscous, nutrient-rich part of seminal fluid. It's about 60% of semen volume. This neutralizes the pH of the vagina and contains sugar for sperm motility. So the vagina is an extremely acidic and hostile environment for sperm, and it has to be acidic and hostile to prevent the overgrowth of pathogens. Pathogenic microorganism like to inhabit the vagina. It's a nice cavity, it's warm in there, there's a lot of nutrients. Sounds really disgusting, but it's a safe place for them to hide. So in order to deter the growth of pathogens, there's special kinds of bacteria in there, the good bacteria, that are going to produce acid, and that's going to make the pH of the vagina low, and that prevents the overgrowth of the pathogens. But in order to get pregnant, we can't have acid all over the place. So, excuse me, seminal fluid neutralizes the pH of the vagina. So what's the difference between semen and sperm? Sperm are just the gametes, while semen are the gametes plus the seminal fluid. The prostate gland. The prostate gland adds a slightly acidic, watery, milky-looking secretion to seminal fluid, which makes up about 30% of semen volume. Citrate is a nutrient for the sperm, and it activates the sperm. So sperm become capable of rapid motility as they combine with the fluid from the prostate gland. Here you can see the prostate, and it's located on the back surface of the urinary bladder. So posterior surface of the prostate is here, and here you can see the urinary bladder. The bulbourethral gland is located right here, and its function is to secrete a fluid to flush the urethra prior to ejaculation. This produces what is sometimes called pre-ejaculate. And it's a fluid that's going to come in here and clean out the urethra. If you think about it, this urethra is the exit for the urinary system and the reproductive system of a man. Urine contains acid and a whole bunch of different types of solutes and toxins and waste products. In order to make a clean path for the sperm so that the sperm have a chance of living inside of the vagina to make their journey up into the uterus, into the fallopian tubes to fertilize that egg, we have to flush all of that nasty stuff out of the urethra. Some hormones regulate the male reproductive system. So the hypothalamus produces GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. Which stimulates the anterior pituitary to release FSH and LH. FSH, or follicle stimulating hormone, stimulates spermatogenesis, while LH, or luteinizing hormone, stimulates testosterone production. We define the functions of these back in the endocrine system, so please make sure that you made a note of them or review your notes on the endocrine system. Testosterone. So it's the major androgen in humans. It's a steroid hormone that's produced by interstitial cells. Secondary sex characteristics, accessory organs, and adult male behavior. It helps regulate metabolism, stimulates protein anabolism, so building of protein, stimulates bone growth and promotes the closure of the epiphyses, and it plays a role in fluid and electrolyte balance. Testosterone's job, if you think about the animal kingdom, so let's not focus too much on the role of the male in human society today or anything like that. Let's just purely talk about animals. Most male animals, it's their job to fight for, defend, and secure a mate. And in order to do that, they have to have dense muscle mass, and they have to be able to mobilize certain lipids and such for energy production much faster than women would. They have to have more hemoglobin in order to transport more oxygen, and they have a higher iron requirement. Their bone growth has to be increased because they have to have stronger bones if they're going to be fighting their entire life in order to secure a mate. So all of these roles, you can see them coming through in humans as well. And that's the major function of testosterone. Male fertility relates to many factors: the number of the sperm, size, shape, and motility of sperm, the number of flagella that each sperm ends up having. So sometimes you can see multiple flagellated sperm and they don't swim very well. Infertility may be caused by antibodies that some men make against their own sperm. Male fertility begins at puberty and extends into old age. If you look at this graph here, you can look at testosterone production. So it peaks during fetal development, and then there's a peak during neonatal period, and then it starts to peak at puberty all the way into old age, so well above 80s. Sperm production starts at puberty, peaks through adulthood, and continues well above into their 80s. So men can successfully produce offspring at a much older age than women can.